Hello, and thank you for joining us on Journalist Hangout on Sunday. I'm Ayodele Uzubakun. Today on the program, Kwara State employs 50 first-class graduates among 4,701 teachers in a new drive to develop education. Presidency bumps Father Mbaka over his call for President Buhari's impeachment, says he got angry over inability to secure contracts from the federal government. Senate warns President Buhari against lopsided appointments, says federal character principle needs to be honored. Bandits leader who repented after abducting 300 Kankara students in Katsina State killed by rival gang after returning to kidnapping, as Boko Haram lures families with 20,000 naira to join them. And on Journalist Hangout, a weekend special, Lagos State hands over Lady Amputee Mary Daniel to her kinsmen, denies seizing 25 million naira donated to her over false claim. I'll be hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju and Gani Kaide Balogun. So if you're ready, let the hangout start now. It's your favorite Journalist Hangout on Sunday. In the next 120 minutes, we're going to take you round of news and information that you would like to know. I still have Gani Kaide Balogun and Babajide Kolade Otitoju with me. Now, we'll start the show today with the good news in Kwara State, where the state government has employed 50 first-class graduates in a new drive to develop the education sector, which saw the employment of 4,701 teachers. TVC News' Ibrahim Alege has the story.
Vacancies in the Kwara State Universal Basic Education Board and Teaching Service Commission were advertised to bridge the gap in the teacher-to-student ratio deficit in the state. Applicants were made to go through various testing and screening exercises, including a CBT examination and oral interviews, among others. The state government insists successful applicants were picked only on merit without any favoritism.
50 first-class graduates appeared for our interview. We saw them and we believe that these are the people that can add values to our educational system, at least at a senior secondary school level. That's it. So and the 987 of them, of 21, also appear for our interview. And we deem it necessary that those individuals too can add values to our system. We pick them up. This is Kwara of new age, where children of nobody become somebody without knowing anybody. That is the adage from the governor. So there is no any political influence in this exercise. I can tell you that. If you see anyone, come and ask us.
Rukoya Ibrahim is one of the successful applicants. Just like others, she's here at the State Secretariat to document her credentials. She confirms that the recruitment process was transparent and different from what's obtained in the past.
I didn't know anybody, I only know God, and I put all my trust in God. But I thank God at the final stage, I'm also among those that are fortunate to be employed. So I've been working in private school, but it's not that easy. So I give glory to Almighty God for giving me the privilege to be employed as a superb teacher.
I believe that this exercise is so transparent and free and fair. So there's nothing like maybe Godfather or maybe I have someone in the office to help me through. No, honestly, I didn't submit my document to anybody and I'm appointed.
Based on the past experience, people will graduate from school. Before you get to work, you have to know somebody. And with our own community over there, whereby our parents are farmers, they don't know anybody, we try our luck. And to the glory of God, there's not, I don't know anybody because my father is a peasant farmer, in which I just write the exam with faith, believing that my luck, and to the glory of God, I was given the appointment without giving anybody my credentials. I don't even have anybody to give my credentials.
I'm glad today to say that the crop of teachers we are now recruiting we do more to the level of learning and teaching our schools, because the best among the best has been selected through various activities they pass through. And today I think they are on their documentation exercise. It has started about 2 or 3 days ago, and we are still hopeful that by next week everything will be over, when the final picking to various schools will be done by the commission.
There's going to be training and retraining. We are going to orientate them so that they will know the right attitude to their work. So essentially, we have to let them understand that this scheme is specifically meant for rural schools. And anybody who is not ready to take appointment in rural school, maybe we don't know what will happen.
4,701 teachers have been employed, and they will undergo further training to sharpen their teaching skills. The selection process has been thorough and described as one of the best in the history of the state. This has brought about the emergence of 50 first-class graduates among the newly employed teachers, and the expectations are high that this should have a positive impact on Kwara education in years to come. Ibrahim Alige, TVC News, Ilorin.
Actually, a good development here that 4,701 teachers and 50 first-class students. And if you listen to that interview, one thing that they said was that most of them said they didn't have to. You don't have to know anybody. That they got there on merits. And if this is promoted in our country as a whole, things will get better.
Certainly, and I want to see the very best teaching our students, our pupils, because most times, or many times, the people who are saddled with this responsibility of giving instruction are not even as good as the people they teach. We've seen, even in this Kwara state, I think the former, one-time commissioner in that state set up a kind of test for teachers and pupils, the same test for teachers and pupils. And some pupils passed, and their teachers failed.
Imagine.
That's Bolaji Abdullahi. Yes, when he was
Commissioner for Education in that state.
Yes, when he was Commissioner for Education, and I think also Commissioner for Science and Tech also in that state. So we need to focus on the quality of instruction. You can build fantastic schools, eye-catching schools, but the most important thing is the quality of instruction. Otherwise, the products of those schools will not be good enough. You are as good as the quality of instruction that you are privileged to get. So I expect that the state will focus more now on the quality of instruction and training and retraining for teachers, because these teachers need to be trained. They need to be trained again and again on even the psychology of imparting knowledge and all that, how to get the best out of their words. So it's a good development. This is the sort of thing that we want to see. Hearing that someone scored first class and they can't find employment in our country is shameful.
Depressing.
And you find that where such people deserve to work, people who can barely write the letter 0
to save their
with
lives.
the head of a bottle are people who end up working there.
Getting that kind of job.
Merit is brushed aside in favor of, oh, man, no man. This is somebody who supports our party. This is a leader in a community where I hope to get votes in future elections. Therefore, bring somebody from your area. We must put greater accent on merit, and this is what we've seen here, and it gladdens my heart.
GKB, you can see this will boost even the morale of the students when you have teachers with the first class degree that will have to impact knowledge. That will show the quality of what they can impact.
Not only that, it also serves as an incentive for these students to also aspire for more later in life, knowing fully well that there is a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. My only fear is the fact that I don't want this, for these people to use this teaching as a launching pad to other areas. I don't want them to become transition teachers, because that's the danger that we face as a nation. Critical areas that we're supposed to retain talents, we tend to ignore them until they move on to other places. A lot of us started our working career basically as a teacher before we moved into journalism. And I can name nothing less than 10 to 20 people I know who started out as teachers. But the environment are not really that conducive to stay for somebody who has tremendous talent and really want to achieve. That to me is the key to this. I applaud this totally, but this is just a minuscule step in a long journey towards redeeming our education system. Because remember, there was a time, I don't know why they still do it now, that first-class graduates are automatically retained by the university. I don't know why they do it now, but there was a time that first class and very good 2-1 are retained by universities and sent abroad, basically for training, so that they will use for the society. Sometimes they are even what they call bonding. Yeah, they'll be bonded to the states, maybe for 5 years. That means they will train you to PhD level, and you cannot leave the system maybe for 10 years. You work during the times of the Awolowos and the Ahmadu Bellos, and I don't think it's working now. So I applaud this totally, but it's just the first step in a very long journey.
I also think that the government should come up with incentives that will encourage teachers to want to serve in the rural areas. It's a big problem. Doctors don't want to serve in the rural areas because the amenities there are not encouraging. That's if they are even available. And teachers too don't want to work in rural areas. So a lot of the teachers that they have recruited will find their way to those rural areas. But there has to be some form of incentive. Otherwise, ultimately, as GKB said, some of them would eventually quit teaching and find something else to do. So we need to, at this stage, encourage the governor of Kwara State to come up with a scheme whereby the teachers can be encouraged to work in the rural areas.
Now, there was good relationship between President Muhammadu Buhari and prominent cleric and spiritual director of the Adoration Ministry, Enugu, Reverend Father Ejike Mbaka. But the friends have turned foes after Father Mbaka last week called on President Muhammadu Buhari to resign or be impeached over bad leadership. The presidency, through the senior special assistant on media, that's to President Muhammadu Buhari, media and publicity, Garba Shehu, fired back that Father Mbaka is angry because he requested for contracts and was rebuffed. The very Catholic priest is yet to offer a reply to the stinker. Julie, this is getting rather messy and interesting. Father Mbaka was one of the people that actually supported the administration of the emergence of this administration. Yes. And in 2019, he also, supported Mr. President. A couple of times we've seen him at the presidential villa there. And I think after Mbaka saw the way things were going and everything, he called for the resignation of President Muhammadu Buhari. And this is what he got.
I think that both sides were wrong. Both sides. I will apportion blame to both Reverend Father Mbaka as well as the presidency. Why do I say this? Father Mbaka told us that President Buhari was God's choice for Nigeria. and that God told him, President Buhari is the person to
the Messiah,
to lead us to the land of promise. Now, if you actually heard from God that President Buhari is the leader to take us to the promised land, why do you want God's choice to resign? Why would you suggest that God's choice should be impeached if he does not resign?
Maybe because he has seen that he's not taking us.
But it's God's choice. You said it's God's choice, and God never fails.
It's infallible.
God is infallible. If actually you heard from him, if you actually heard from him, because we are not sure, we are not there to be able to verify whether God indeed spoke to him. There's a problem with a lot of our preachers, a lot of our spiritual people. When they see that the word actually respects them, the word wants to hear from them, sometimes they embellish the word of God. Sometimes without God speaking to them, they tell us that God spoke to them. I've seen pastors purporting to be speaking to God on phone. There's nothing that we won't see. We've seen pastors even stepping on people in the name of performing miracle. We've seen pastors urinating on people.
Spitting to
in the name of performing miracles.
This Africa.
I've seen a pastor claiming that the fluid in her breast was holy and inviting men to come and suck the holy milk. What would we not see? Now, so that I do not distract people, because I can go on and on talking about things that I've seen. If indeed God told you that Buhari was his choice for Nigeria, then what has happened? Did God speak to you again? God can change his mind. We saw the story of Hezekiah that God changed his mind. You've got to come back to us that, look, God told me this and this, but he has changed his mind. Because God said he was going to, I think, in the case of Hezekiah, God changed his mind. And the punishment that he had for him, he decided when he confessed his sins and appealed to God, God changed his mind. Okay, I will no longer punish you the way I planned to punish you before. So I'm saying that what has changed? It's important to let Nigerians know that this is what has changed. Because this same prophet also said a few days back that Hope Uzodinma, the governor of Imo State, no longer picks his calls. Men of God should limit their exposure to politically exposed people. Politically exposed people, like the ones we have in Nigeria, they will mess you up. It's not every politician that you see that is a gentleman. It's not exactly wrong to ask for contract. If people actually work for the administration, work for the emergence of the administration, they deserve to be compensated one way or another. And if somebody steps forward and says, okay, give me a contract, it's a legitimate thing. If you think that it's not qualified, then he doesn't get it. So no one should make it look like it's wrong to ask for a contract. No, it's not wrong. After all, there are many people who contributed nothing to the emergence of President Buhari who are today enjoying. But a priest who came out to say, look, God told me, whether God told him or not, I'm not in position to verify. Who said God told him that Buhari was the choice? He had contributed to the emergence, whether we like it or not, because some people will vote for the president on account of what they had from him, because he's a very popular cleric. So to humiliate him in this way, I don't think is the right thing. I will never agree that that's the right thing. No, of course, it means that some of us, that when we exchange messages with people in government, whenever there's a little misunderstanding, they will go and tell people. That's what Keyamo too has done. And he thinks that he did the sensible thing. Exchanges, personal exchanges between you and an individual, because you felt bad about what he did, you now decided to go low like him, and you now put personal messages between you and him on social media. Have you never, even you, have you never asked for favor from people before you became somebody? In your days when you were struggling, have you never asked people for favor? Would you be happy if people started going around telling people that, oh, this person asked me for favor so time? So I don't agree that the right thing to do is to try to shame him in the way that he has done. Yeah. But Mbaka is a lesson to him. I hope that he will limit now his exposure to politicians, because from the days of Nnamani, Mbaka has been presenting himself more like a political priest. Maybe this will now make him to see a reason to slow down.
Now, looking at even, I was shocked on Friday, was it Friday or Thursday, when I saw the release from this presidential spokesman. In a very long time, I've not seen such a release from the presidency that is a direct attack.
Full of bile and petty.
Individual, and I looked at it and I said, oh, he's asking for the, he's asking for President Muhammadu Buhari to step down because he asked us for contracts and we did not give him. He came with 3 contractors. Don't you think that sounds a little bit petty?
Yeah, that's the lowest of the low from the former president of Nigerian Guild of Editors. And it goes to show that the Yorubas are right when they say that you only know a person only when he gets into power or he gets into money. And then, because I'm truly, truly disappointed in the reaction. Number one, Father Mbaka has the rights, not only for a contract, even an appointment. In some countries, once the election is over, the best of the citizens will forward their CVs for the incoming administration for consideration. It's a legitimate thing done everywhere in the world, because it's a call to service for your country. It's not a call to service for Buhari or a call to service for Jonathan. It's a call to service for Nigeria. So let's remove that out of the way. Number two, there seems to be a new trend coming out of this administration about going as low as possible with their former friends. And that to me is the danger we face here, because a program like Journalist Hangout have done so much in elevating the discourse in this country. In the course of doing that, you have to get across to A, B, C, D. So imagine a situation where just criticizing a government policy, the man thought the best thing to do is expose your relationship. It happened with the minister, the junior minister for labor, is now happening with the SSA media for the president. There seems to be a pattern developing of that. Instead of facing the substance of the accusation, that is of bad leadership and incompetence, you rather go back and hit them below the belt so that you can divert attention from the original accusation that they made. Instead of saying, fine, Mr. Father Mbaka, the president cannot resign because A, B, C, D he had done. 2, the president cannot be impeached because of C, D, E, F that is happening. That's where to go. Not by hitting the man and telling us stories like...
And you can say, look, the president is not distracted.
Yeah.
He's going about with his duties. These are difficult times, but he's trying his best, and in the fullness of time, his efforts will show.
You can tell us that you are going through this pain now, so that tomorrow will be rosy.
Yes.
That's the way to do it. It's not to start
countries go through terrible spells now and emerge out of it as great nations. So to simply go low, it's just not right, and it doesn't mean that such calls will stop.
No, to even embolden people.
Yes, other people will.
They say, fine, you want to expose me.
Yes,
let me do this.
So, okay, I have joining us a Lagos-based journalist, Richard Akinola, joins us via Skype. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, AY.
Yes. Richie, what do you make what do you make of this big bat between the presidency and Reverend Father Ejike Mbaka?
Well, just like Jide had mentioned, I feel so disappointed, quite frankly, because the presidency went so low, particularly the statement by Gabashew. And to me, just like Jide described him, Mbaka is just a political priest. He's just a charlatan. I don't take him serious. So, and I'm sure what he said 2 years ago that Buhari will be president, those are just political permutations, not prophecy. And there are many of them like that. So one said that if Atiku did not become president, then nobody should take him serious any longer. But it's Atiku the president today. So Mbaka is just a political priest. And having said that, to me, Mbaka's new position doesn't even, require any riposte by the presidency. You don't turn the presidency like just like Donald Trump. Demystify the presidency with all manner of presidential remarks. That's exactly what my friend Gabashew has just done. It goes that low and start talking that Mbaka came for because he came for contract and he wasn't given. And so bloody what? Are you going to ask for a contract for your enemies? It's not for your friends. So what's big deal about it? And in any case, for the report I got even from Enugu this morning, that in fact the road to Mbaka's church, that it was almost impossible because of crowd. So, and he is someone that has large followership, and people, many people are so gullible when it comes to following some hero worshiping some religious leaders, and whatever Gabashew has said, as far as I'm concerned, it doesn't affect his adherence of the Mbaka, because as far as I'm concerned, Mbaka asked for a contract, so bloody what? So, but to me, I'm not even bothered about Mbaka because it should have been ignored in the first place.
Yes.
It's not something just like Michelle Obama said, when they go low, we go high. So I don't think when it comes to political communication, particularly at that level, you don't descend to that level and start wrestling with pigs. No, I think it was most unfortunate that statement. Because Mbaka, like you must say Mbaka, just forget that guy. But to now issue a statement and say because he asked for contract, so bloody what? And as the other guest said, because the pattern is imagined that once somebody disagrees, say because he wants to ask for favor, and okay, what's big deal? We're asking for favor. We are all products of help anyway.
Yes.
So to me, I think it was a very, very low, and I hope this will not happen again in terms of political communication for the presidency.
If you remember, we've had, before the 2015 election, 2019 election, we now have men of God that we specifically endorse some candidates, that we specifically throw their hat in the ring for certain politicians. And a lot of people have been saying that, look, this is not really right. Why would men of God be seen to be, apart from praying for them, endorsing politicians for certain positions? What do you make of this?
In fact, look at what happened, the recent example in the United States election, with the likes of Paula White and all the evangelicals. Look at how they just lied, saying that God said that Donald Trump had been endorsed by God to be elected. And even after he had lost, and we saw how Paula White was conducting a prayer, asking for angels from Africa, from Asia, to go and rig votes. Paula White was, used to be somebody I respect so much. But for her to get to that level, because being the spiritual advisor of Donald Trump, and now, behaving like politicians. That was the lowest of the level that the evangelical could get to in America. And of course, some of our pastors who, I remember that this former footballer, this River State guy, who was a pastor,
Taribo.
With the former Super Eagles guy,
Taribo West.
He to sent out a video that Donald Trump, that quote me, Donald Trump is going to be re-elected. But what happened thereafter? So I don't know why these pastors have always seen anything. Nobody has told us when COVID will end. They won't tell us about COVID. They are talking about who will become president in 2023, who will become president in 2019. I think that they become so political. If you want to become a politician, be a politician. Yes. And sometimes God will tell you certain things, and you just.
Oh, Richie, Judy, I think this is like a lesson that we just separate this calling. Yes, they can be your church members. They can, but there should be this demarcation, not to be associated with them directly. Because if you see in the Adoration Center, before Hope Uzodimma, Governor Hope Uzodimma became the governor, he was in that church at Enugu. Mbaka prayed for him, and it was that night that he made that declaration that Emeka Ihedioha's administration will end by 2022. That was December 2020. I mean, December 2019, and that thing happened. The Supreme Court judgment happened in January 2021.
Well, I would expect pastors, Islamic clerics who want to retain the respect that people have for them to stay away from politicians, because politicians will destroy them. Pantamin too was saying that he saw no reason in one of those old videos that he saw no reason why clerics should be taking appointments from government, from government and other. Although he eventually took appointment, he don't even take one; he took two, from government. Took NITDA, took the ministerial appointment. The way to just stay away from needless controversy is to give politicians a wide berth. Don't let them get too close to you. You can imagine how disappointed I would be if a Baba Adeboye, who is, in my view, the biggest pastor in this country, if he could come out to say, "Oh, God told me that Buhari will be the president and is the best for us, is the Messiah," and then shortly after, maybe after 2 years, we now call for Buhari's resignation, or that people should be impeached if he does not resign.
Gabashe would have launched his
So, that would diminish him as a person. That's a reason why people like Adeboye don't make this kind of. He may have his preference. Yes, yes. Some of them consult him, he prays for them and all that without coming out, because you also need to realize that within your church, a lot of your members don't particularly approve of these individuals.
Different interests.
Yes, within your church. Yes. Once your church is so big, there will be people who will not agree to either work for Buhari or work for Atiku. But diminishing your step by getting too close to politicians. Why, for example, would Mbaka say that Hope Uzodimma no longer picks his calls? I mean, it diminishes him as a person.
God has used to. Okay, Richard is back. So at the end of the day, Richard, we are talking about the exposure of this men of God, and we're taking it home to Nigeria.
Yeah.
So continue.
Yeah, because yes, just like I made the American example. I mean, the same thing in Nigeria, because they have become too political. I mean, if you want to be a politician, be a politician. Sometimes God can speak to you, and then you speak in parables, just like Jesus. I mean, we will speak in parables. But when you not just come and be categorical and say one or two things, and many of these things they claim to be prophecy are political permutations, and the issue is that God speaks, God gives His word to His servants, but there are many charlatans who purport to be prophets, but who are just political. Who just engage in political permutations, and you sit down, analyze it, and come back to a particular result. So I think the Mbaka example that people should be wary. I mean, when it comes to all these political prophecies, because just like Jide said, I mean, how on earth will Mbaka say that hope is not picking his cause again? What's your business with hope? If God told you about hope that he was going to win, then why do you want to move with hope in the first place?
He should end there. He has won.
Doesn't make any sense. He has won. So what's the business with hope? So it means that the guy is just a businessman. He's just a political priest. So I think. Oh shit! I've lost.
Okay, don't worry. That happens.
Now, even at the point in time, this one even predicted that. Oh, okay, Richard. At the point in time, said the former Vice President Atiku Abubakar and Peter Obi, maybe because Peter Obi did not announce his donation publicly in his adoration ground. He said, "Look,
he was angry with him.
He was angry with him, and he told him here and there that your presidency is not going to see the light of the day."
Precisely, because he was stingy. He said Peter Obi was stingy. And that shows the guy is a mercantilist predilection.
Yes.
I mean,
I want to thank you, Richard Akinola. I want to thank you for taking time out.
I'm sorry, I'm in transit, so sorry that I keep on. I mean, the network keep breaking because I'm in transit.
It's technology.
Thank you for your contribution.
Right. Thank you very much. Yeah. Well, actually, Wole Soyinka spoiled the prediction business for me through the trials of Brother Jero. And since then, I don't take pastors or foreseers seriously, because I know that they always base their permutation on other realities. But having said that, I think this is not only a lesson for the clergy, it's also a lesson for the media and a lesson for professionals who come into politics a year to the election or 6 months to the election.
No, they've started it now.
Thinking that they have the solutions.
Started it now.
Because I remember that I was sitting with a politician recently before the last election who told me point blank that they look at professionals coming to politics during the period of elections as fools, because they've been doing this for 22 years. And there's nothing you are bringing on board that will change the way that they do stuff. So, but a lot of people will go into this politics thinking that because there are rules guiding their profession, like media people, that the same rule will apply to politics. The only rule that is applying to politics is that there's no rule. They make it up as they go along. So not only the clergy, even those of us in the media and those people in the professions should be wary of politicians. They will mess you up big time.
We've seen that trend now. We're counting down to 2023 now. We've seen pastors, this person will not go anywhere, that person will not go anywhere. And at the end of the day, most of this prediction will not come to pass.
And because we are talking about, we are casting educated guesses as predictions, as predictions spiritually backed. No, anybody can make an educated guess. But to couch it as something from God is what is wrong. Because God is by nature perfect. I mean, it diminishes God to lie against him in the way some of these preachers are doing, and then just carry on without conscience. I mean, God cannot tell you this and then suddenly we are seeing you going against what you claimed that God told you.
By God.
That's where I have a problem with him.
Querying God's word.
Yeah, that's where I have a problem with him. If God told you that this is the man for our country, then, and he told you that that's the man that will take Nigeria to the promised land, what has changed? If anything has changed, if God called you back to say, my son, I told you, but I've changed my mind, then you should tell Nigerians that God has told me that it will no longer, that this person will no, but you are not doing that. You forgot that this was what you told us the last time, and you are now saying the man should go. There's no way, you see, there's no way that their blood will not boil when you start behaving like that to them, because it's not in all cases that we expect politicians to be decent. No, politicians are not always decent. This is the example that we have seen, and I hope that this political priest will learn a lesson from
Today,
this.
former President Goodluck Jonathan will be having a good laugh because he was the one that predicted the end of his administration, this, that, and now.
It's not the only one that predicted Jonathan's defeat, but many people did not claim that God spoke to them, but they predicted it all right.
Okay, we have Jubril is calling us from Kaduna. Thank you for joining us, Jubril.
Thank you, sir. This is Mr. Jibril from Kaduna.
All right, go ahead with your contribution.
Thank you, sir. With due respect, as a man of God, is it reasonable for him to come out outrightly, just as you have said, somebody who you have believed that God have shown you that the Messiah that is going to win, and the person have already won, and they are coming out again that they should impeach. You are using this harsh language that they should, as a man of God, you're supposed to say they should impeach that person. Is that how it's supposed to be? It is wrong. Actually, just as you have said, as a man of God, it should be someone that will organize, not to destroy. The language is used like it's destroying the government. You should use a soft language that's less than that. You should advise the government on what to do, but rather than be destroying government. Because if whatever that happens to government is affect the entire country. As a man of God, you should use soft language, not destructive language. Thank you. That's my
All right. Thank you, Jibril. Thank you for your contribution. Moving on now. To foster unity and togetherness among the diverse elements that make up Nigeria, the framers of the Nigerian Constitution made provision for the federal character principle. To ensure adherence to this, the Senate Committee on Judiciary, Human Rights and Legal Matters warned President Muhammadu Buhari against lopsided appointments. The chairman of the committee, Senator Okoyemi Bamidele, said it is a fundamental obligation for the president to ensure that all his appointments are based on federal character and merits. Jide, a lot of complaints that we've been getting since the advent of this administration has been on the seeming lopsidedness on the appointments of President Muhammadu Buhari, apart from the compulsory apart from the compulsory provision in the Constitution that say that all the states must get a minister. Some people have had to talk about the security architecture, the people that have been there, and some other strategic agencies, and some are even saying these are one of the things that's fueling these agitations that, look, we're not part of this country, we don't have a sense of belonging, we want to go, we want to go, we want to go.
Yes, no doubt about it, and the framers of the Constitution anticipated that once appointments are lopsided, it will make it difficult for us to unite behind our nation. More and more people will feel that, look, this government does not think that they belong, does not think that they matter in the scheme of things in our country. So, as Senator Okoyemi Bamidele said, if we want to retain the federal character principle and it remains in our Constitution, Section 14, subsection 3, then we have to obey it. A situation in which we have the federal character principle enshrined in our Constitution and we only obey it when we like is wrong. It's wrong. It has to be obeyed. It has to be obeyed. So this is the thing. They are saying that political appointees must meet the criteria of eligibility as well as federal character principle. Because we can have a situation in which one section of the country appears to get a preponderance of appointments to the exclusion of others. So the senators are saying abuse of the federal character principle could compromise the unity of our nation. I agree absolutely. I want to read something just for people to understand what Section 14 subsection 3 says. The composition of the government of the Federation or any of its agencies and the conduct of its affairs shall be carried out in such a manner as to reflect the federal character of Nigeria and the need to promote national unity and also to achieve national loyalty. There shall be no predominance of persons from a few states or from a few ethnic or other sectional groups in that government or in any of its agencies. So it's very clear. One of the ways by which we can make Nigerians unite behind the government and their country is when they see clearly that when they feel that they belong in the scheme of things. If people start thinking, oh, this government does not, they don't give appointments to our people, they do not, they only give us what, they give us positions that suggest that we are dregs, then all these agitations will continue and we will become more and more divided as a people. I don't think that's what any government wants to see. So Okwara is advising those who help the president in making appointments, in recommending people to be appointed, to at all times remember the provisions of the Section 14, subsection 3 of the Constitution, which affirms the primacy of the federal character principle.
DKB, we've had instances that somebody, maybe somebody from the south or southwest, will be in a position. That person will leave the position maybe on resignation and if Mr. President, we've seen it not once, not twice. If that person is going to be replaced, we expect that somebody from the same geopolitical zone or somebody from the same state will replace that person. But in a radical change, we just see that this person is being removed and to the chagrin of that person's people, is replaced by another person from another geopolitical zone entirely.
Number one, which of course is not really important, but I must say this. Even the Federal Character Commission does not obey the Federal Character Commission principle.
Yes.
Both the chairman and the chief executive are from the same part of the country. So that will, of course, tell you anything you want to know about the level of disdain that this government has for the Federal Character principle. If the people who are supposed to enforce Federal Character, both the chief operating officer and the chairman of his board are from the same part of the country. That's the best.
Problem emanates from their appointments.
So how do you expect them to now enforce something that they too are in breach of? That's the first point. The second part, of course, is that I commend Dr. Dele for this. Was a very bold thing for an APC senator to do, because these is things that people have been saying in secret, out of the public glare for the last 6 years. That somebody or a committee in the National Assembly dominated by APC has the guts to come out and put words into what has been underground for the last 6 years about the way appointments are made under this government. To me, is commendable. The way forward right now, I think it's already too late for this administrator to change. They are like crayfish. They are already bent. And we are going to continue like this till the end of Mr. Buhari's tenure. What we need to do is to enforce the constitutional provision with a Federal Character Commission that reflects the reality of our country in such a way that zones and states can go out of their way to protest. Because I remember, I don't know whether this government or the one before it, they have what they call the principal list. That means positions are listed in the manner of their importance across the 6 zones. That means if A goes to A, So by the time you obey that principle, nobody will complain. But even within that principle, even within the zone, somebody will leave a job as an Oyo State indigene and will be quickly replaced by somebody from Ogun. Even within, I'm talking about even macromism, or the problem that we are discussing now. If the problem is rampant at the federal level, because I remember talking to some people who keep saying that breakdown of appointments going to the northwest is predominantly going to Katsina and Kano states. That means out of 7 states, there are states that are even complaining that they are being tainted with the same brush. Meanwhile, the goodies that they are being accused of accumulating only goes to 2 states. And the same thing applies to the southwest. We have things that belong to 6 states are being appropriated by 1 or 2 states. I'm giving examples that even if we solve the problem at the federal level, we have to also solve it at the zonal level, at the state level, then come out to the local government level. We have to change our mindset about being fair in things that we do. Unless we do that, I'm afraid. To
foster unity and peace. All right.
From the grassroots, before it gets to the top.
I have a public affairs analyst, Femi Lawson, joining us via Skype. Thank you for joining us, Femi.
Good afternoon, DJ family.
Yeah, what do you make by the recommendation by Senator Kweyemi Bamidele, the Senate Committee on Judiciary, Human Rights and Legal, that President Buhari will need to stick to the principle of federal character?
Well, it's a fundamental recommendation, and it's a sound advisory on the part of the Senate, but I think this is beyond an advice. And a lot of times, I have seen people, especially those who are in such positions to ensure that the principles of federal characters are enforced, trying to make it look like an attempt to appeal to the president or to plead with the president, or sometimes it comes with some subtle preaching to the president, whereas the issue in question is a constitutional issue. The president at least has twice sworn to the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. He has sworn to protect and uphold the Constitution, and I don't think we need to continually beg and appeal to the president to work according to the dictates of the Constitution. It is very, very sad, because it has become like a policy of government, even though in the past, if we must recollect, there have been some issues around, inability of government to uphold the principles of federal character, even by the previous administrations. But the Buhari administration seems to have taken it to a level that we have never experienced in this country. And that is why today, critical national institutions, have been ceded practically to a part of the country against the other. And for a country that is so plural like ours, for a country that comprises of about 350 nations, different ethnic nationalities, I think what should have been a major, principle or policy approach of government should have been the principle of federal character. This would have ordinarily helped in addressing some of the issues that we are battling with today. But it seems the people, just like BKO said, that are advising the president, that are making recommendations for the president, do not believe in things that can really stabilize this country. And that is why we have continued to see this manner of appointment that have been undertaken by the administration. It is very unfortunate.
Now, when people bring up these issues and point especially at the leadership of security agencies, critics usually point to the Obasanjo regime and recall that Obasanjo actually never picked the head of the police, the Special Agent of Police, from outside of the Southwest. So they use that to justify some of the actions of the president, that any president, especially when we are talking about issues of security, would rather choose from his own, from the area where he came from. What is your attitude to this?
You see, we must understand that government, especially as constituted by the Buhari administration came on the premise of change. So many things have been wrong with Nigeria, not even between 1999 and now. Even from the time of the post-independence era, especially during the military and from, of course, through the period of republics. But today, in 2015, this government came on a mantra of change, promising to change Nigeria to a course that will differentiate us from the past. Most of the things that were obtainable in the past were the campaign, promises that the administration, came quick, that it was going to change. So a lot of times when people try to make comparison between what is obtainable now and what was obtainable during Obasanjo, during Jonathan, it clearly, indicates that the administration itself was not, willing to change from the past. If this administration is committed rather to changing from the old order, they should have done things in a way that should not be making comparison to what we had in the past. If Obasanjo, Jonathan, whoever have had service chiefs coming from the region of the country in violation of what ordinarily should have reflected the principle of national federal character, I don't think an administration that came on a mantra of change should have been passing through, taking the same route. Today, if you look at all intelligence organizations in Nigeria, all paramilitary organizations in Nigeria, all sensitive national institutions today are headed by people from a particular region of this country, precisely the north. Then what have we been able to do differently? Then where is the change that the president premised his campaign upon in 2015? And that is why a lot of times I'm not usually comfortable with those who try to compare what is obtainable now to what was obtainable in the past. If we had had it good with Obasanjo, if we had had it fair with Jonathan, there would have been no need for a change of government in 2015 and subsequent re-election in 2019. Government should have strived to do better than the previous, not by competing. And this government seems to have been more involved in competition with the past than advancing the cause, of a better Nigeria.
Well, the reality we face really is the fact that the more things change, the more they remain the same. And that to me is the danger that we face now. The 2015 election was supposed to be a catalyst because it was the first time in 20 years that at the federal level, an opposition party would gain power. That means there was a need for a paradigm shift in the way we do things. Because if the same party has been in power for 16 years and they keep giving us new candidates, we assume that it will be the same of the same of the same. But we thought we were going to do a 90-degree turn in another direction when this government came in. But his action so far has reflected that not only are they even more entrenched in continuing the old traditions, they now extend it to a level unheard of in our country for a long time. Because what he said about nepotism, or if they use another word, what he said about the fact that there seems to be a deliberate attempt, even structurally, to ensure that leadership of certain things remain in certain areas. It's beyond the headship of these places. If you go into some areas like the customs or immigration or even the police, they've been structured in the last 5 years in such a manner that's going to be extremely difficult for somebody who's not from a particular part of the country to head these agencies, because there will be token elements within the hierarchy. But I can tell you that in some areas, the first 20 officers will come from the same part of the country. So that means you have to destroy the career of nothing less than 25 officers to bring in somebody who is not from that part of the country. That, to me, is the danger that we present by this particular problem.
Femi, finally, a lot of people will tell you that, look, there's this perception that some people from a certain part of the country cannot occupy some sensitive positions, like the Inspector General of Police, cannot even be the president, cannot even be the Chief of Army Staff.
FCT Minister.
Because it has not been tried before.
You see, today, what symbolizes our unity as a nation, the federal capital, what we call the center of unity today, if you look at the strategic institutions guiding the federal capital, the Ministry of FCT and the FCDA, they are headed by Northerners. See, the people who advocate that certain positions cannot be headed by certain persons from certain regions of the country are the real enemies of the unity of this country. If you look at the principle upon which that section 14 of the Constitution was built upon, ensuring stability stability, emphasis, was part of the reasons why the drafters of that constitution included in section 14 the need, for this federal character that we're talking about. But if people think we can have stability in a country where you think some people are not qualified or that cannot be trusted to occupy certain sensitive positions, those are the real people that I think should not be trusted and should not be entrusted with certain responsibility. We must continue to ensure that we build trust among ourselves, and that's the only way we can ensure stability, not by putting the man from our tribe in certain positions. It does not guarantee stability, neither does it guarantee peace. But I think the government still has time. I don't want to agree with those who say it is almost over. The president still has time to correct some of these anomalies that has characterized his administration, that has made federal government become modernized in such a manner that is, we are becoming more unstable than we have ever been before as a people.
But it's not a certain session that you can blame of this alone. Since 1999, you discover that if somebody is heading this ministry, that person will go to his village, will pack everybody from his village, from his hometown. And at the end of the day, you discover that there will be a kind of dominance of a parastatal or a government body because the head, at a point in time, that it happens to come from this place. All the tribes were all guilty of that, Femi.
This will continue as long as the leadership, particularly the president, encourages it. There will continue to be ministers appointing their kinsmen as permanent secretary, as directors, as staff of the ministry. There will continue to be, permanent secretaries bringing people from his villages to come and occupy, positions. Because if you look at the body language of the leader himself, it suggests that you can do it. When you have a president who appoints 4 persons from a single state into a single parastatal, you begin to imagine what directors and permanent secretaries under such ministry will have to do. So when the leader is determined, when the president leads by example, the people will be whipped into line and they'll be forced to act. And a lot of them will be conscious of the consequences of their action if they so decide to go against the principle of federal character. So the president must demonstrate the willingness, he must lead by example, as the leader of a plural society, and by so doing, a lot of these characters who are now doing worse than the president is doing will naturally, be whipped into line. Will be able to stop this menacing nepotism.
I want to thank you, Femi Lawson. Thank you for your contribution. Jide, let's bring it home here. The last question I asked from Femi Lawson, you will know there are some areas, if you go to the police today, from one time to the other time, when certain Inspector General of Police actually was the head of the police, you discover that a particular tribe, bam, you see that the predominance of this tribe is there, and some other ministries and parastatals like that, that it's not only from the top that we have this.
Yes, it's a common problem in our country. And it even predates this administration. When somebody comes from maybe Kogi, you find that and he's heading a parastatal, you now see so many people from that part of the country being employed into that.
Yes, like the police now, it's a tiny time. We always see people from Kogi, especially the Ibria people.
Please, let's not go into that. There's no need to go into that. We always face this problem because as a people, we think that when we are appointed into a position, it's an opportunity for us to bring members of our family, to bring people from our ethnic stock. It has to stop. And I'm saying that it didn't even start with this administration. It has always been there. People are leaving office, they make sure that they have helped as many people from their area to get into that place. We think that way, when we seek political leadership in future, the fact that we have helped so many people from our area into that parastatal will help us, will go a long way. This has to stop. Federal character principle should not even be limited, its implementation should not be limited to the president alone. I want to see it reflect even in the states, in our various states. There's division even within our states. Some governors appoint people largely from their own areas. So it's like Even at state level, we have the same problem for which we are accusing the president. What I want to see is a situation in which the Senate, for example, that has the mandate to clear appointees. I want to see a situation in which they will stand firm and show us that they are not simply a rubber stamp. If the president's appointees do not meet the criteria of merit and federal character, let the president know, return the list of appointees to the president and tell the president to make amends before you continue screening those people. We can't have a Senate that is simply a rubber stamp. The democracy does not envisage a National Assembly that is simply a rubber stamp. If the president has done some things that are not good enough, then you need to let the president know and say that you are requesting that these changes are made before the screening of those individuals. But if you simply allow the president to have his way, you allow the executive to have his way, that means you are not worthy of the position that you are occupying. You are not doing your job as lawmakers. You have to help the president to obey the letters of our constitution. And the way to do it is to stand firm when you need to stand firm.
GKB, your final take on this?
Well, like Jide said, we have to take it from the basics. We are by nature a very parochial people. That's what we are.
Yes.
We tend to defend what we think is ours. But like I said, I'm trying to remember whether it's this government or the government before that came out with a document that shows that if the president is from A, vice president from B, then they break it down to the bare minimum of how you can separate this. If you're a minister, you want to help your people. Your people also have slots in other ministries. They have slots in other agencies. That means you don't have to bring all of them to your particular ministry. For example, if the employment rule says that, or your state, for example, must have 10,000 people employed this year, I'm sure it will be across the board, Navy, Army, and all that. Your job is to ensure. That's why I'm very pissed at the senators. Because once the elite is there, your first job is to protect your senatorial districts, their interest. That's why you are there. You are not there to rubber stamp
and ensure adherence to the Constitution.
Precisely, because you are sure that nobody from my zone is here, and the Constitution says the other senatorial zones have had the governor or the president or the minister. How come my people don't have anything here? And this is the second tier or third tier of appointments in the federal service. Your job is to do that. All over the US, senators and House members ensure that even when it comes to projects, they try to drag them to their senatorial seats. That's the failure, as far as I'm concerned, with the Nigerian Senate. Because you are the clearinghouse, and the law says you must protect your own people and ensure federal character. They are doing neither.
All right, we'll take this break. When we come back, we'll talk more. It's still Journalist Hangout on Sunday. We'll be right back after this time out. Please stay with us. If you're just tuning in, it's Journalist Hangout on Sunday, where we give you 120 minutes of news and current affairs. That's in-depth analysis. You have enough time. It's a special edition of Journalist Hangout every Sunday. That's Journalist Hangout on Sunday. I still have Babajide Kolade Otitoju in the house and Gani Kayode Balogun. Now, those who live by the sword are condemned to die by it. The notorious bandits leader who masterminded the abduction of 300 Kankara schoolboys in Katsina State and Walu, Daudawa, has met his Waterloo. Daudawa was killed by a gang of loyal to another bandit leader called Balolo. A few days after he renounced his earlier repentance and returned to the forest. Meanwhile, in an attempt to swell their ranks and cement their position in Gaydam Yobe State, Boko Haram fighters loyal to the Islamic State of West Africa province, that ISWAP, are giving out 20,000 naira each to some families as Ramadan gifts. This is an apparent move to entice residents to join the group or portraying them in good image. Babajide, let's start from this one. The bandits that went back, because I thought he was going to be killed by our security operatives and everything, and he died through the another rival group when he went back to the trenches, so to say.
Yeah, I think that in the end one can say it serves Awalu Daudawa right. Awalu Daudawa said he was giving up banditry.
Came out.
And the governor of Zamfara State gave him amnesty. He's been around the corridors of power for some time. And we thought his example would be good for other bandits.
To influence other people.
But remember what Governor Rufai said, that a Fulani headsman who used to take cattle all the way to the south and will get paid maximum 200,000 for a cattle. And you know, cows, usually they don't procreate that much. It's usually one offspring in a whole year.
One calf.
He said, if you are being paid just 200,000 maximum on a cow, and you suffer so much just to raise a cow, and suddenly you get paid hundreds of millions of naira. He said there's no way that that person would give up banditry forever because he has seen money. He wants to move away totally from, as far as he's concerned, move away totally from penury, life of penury. This is what we have seen. Being in the forest, commanding his own troops, kidnapping people, and making so much money. It's not the same thing as giving up banditry, because you're not going to make that kind of money. So he must have told himself that within so short a time, he was already regretting giving up banditry, and he felt like returning. In any case, his own boys, though he gave up banditry, he still had his boys, and those boys continued to protect his interest. But he's always had this rivalry with Tukur. So Tukur felt, okay, with him out of the way, their own preeminence as a group will have been expanded. By the time you now try to go back to the forest, Tukur and his gang will feel threatened that, what's this person coming to do again? Because within the bandits, when you are paid, when they are paid ransom, what they do is spend 90% of the money buying weapons. The capacity that you have is determined by the weapons at your disposal. How strong you are, how influential you are as a bandit is determined by the weapons at your disposal. So Tukur must have felt threatened by Awalu Dadawa's return to the forest, and he got his people to kill him. His own group got angry too and decided to go after Tukur's gang, and they took out Tukur. So I'm happy that within them, they are killing them. So it's like somebody swore against them that those of you who do not want peace to reign in Nigeria, you too will not know peace. So they are killing themselves, and simultaneously the Air Force is carrying out air raids in those areas, especially the forest of Basari, Safana local government area of Katsina. So I'm happy that it's gone the way it's gone. I only hope that we can cash in on the division between them now to destroy as many of them as possible and let our people enjoy peace.
GKB, look at the rifles being displayed. And the one earlier, I just saw it, it's not the even regular AK-47.
I think it's AK-49.
The black one. It looks like the ones that you see with the state security service guys. And when they are disarmed and everything, but this one is like an internal conflict between the bandits. So we're still expecting that our service chiefs will carry out the instruction of Mr. President that they should identify the leaders of these people and fish them out.
Number one, identifying the leadership is not the problem. Because the ones we've caught in the past, what did we do with them? We wined and dined and make them look great.
We know where they are now.
So we know exactly what's going on. Number two, this is the law of karma. Basically, there are those who live by the sword must die by it. And I know Nigerians don't like to hear this, but all these are symptoms of a failing state. If you research into what happened in Somalia and some parts of Uganda, the Red Army, you realize that this is exactly what they call the division of areas. We call them warlords, people who have enough guns to rule a particular part of the state, and they do the honors there. If our soldiers and our leadership cannot do the needful, this is going to grow more than we see now. Because like everybody knows, if you get 100 million and you put 90 million to the market for weapons, you will get the best of the best. And it's different from going to the National Assembly or going to one minister. It's a matter of cash and carry. So we have been over, like the Alaafin said yesterday, the bandits now appear to be have the upper hand in this battle because they have superior weapon. Obviously, they also have superior strategy. Because they keep telling us, we know who the leaders are, we know where they are, but we are not doing anything to annihilate them or stop the banditry that's going on. Every day they give a look at the news that you just read. Boko Haram is giving 20,000 as Ramadan gifts. That's what they call. Is that, you know what that means? That means they are buying the hearts and soul of the local people. So in 2 years, 3 years, these people will willingly give their children to Boko Haram to serve as soldiers. And then where do we start? That to me is the danger that we face as a nation.
Jide, when you look at this, there are a lot of areas that they hardly feel the presence of government. In this, especially in the north. They don't have the basic infrastructure, they don't have no road,
And especially this whole, many parts of the northwest, when you are leaving Kankara, for example, trying to access Dansabao, which is separated by a river, which is separated by a river from the next Zamfara community. To get there, the road is so terrible. A distance that you can cover, if the road was good, in 15 minutes, you will need like 2 hours. And we were using this Isuzu Tiger, which is like a multi-terrain vehicle. So if you were even driving a smaller car, you can imagine how long it will take. And that is why our security forces are, when they get information that bandits are operating in an area, it's always difficult for them to get there. And before they get there, these guys will have killed too many people and left, because they go around on motorbikes carrying 3 persons, each of them with their AK-47 or AK-49. That is what makes life unbearable for our people. They can't even get help quickly. So these bandits literally are ruling that whole area. Daudawa, for example, okay, that name would suggest that is from Faskari local government of Katsina State. But he was said to have only operated there for some time as a headsman. You know, so the people are saying, no, it's not originally from there. You know, they are nomadic in nature. these bandits, most of them were originally pastoralists. You know, some of them victims of cattle rustling. They now also decided to take to a life of crime. So they are saying that he was not originally from the place, that he merely he adopted that name, maybe because he was there for a long time. Our people now have to pay these people before they can access their farms, before they can move freely. And I can tell you, if you listen to people, the rate of carnage that this Daudawa and his people are bringing on Katsina people, a lot of it does not even get reported in the papers. Go to Safana, Sabua, all this local government, about 11 local government, like banditry is happening.
They're holding...
They will even tell you that, look, there's nothing that the army can do, that if you think that the army can confront us, the army cannot confront us. They are confident because of the weapons at their disposal. And this kind of killing, remember Dogo Gide, that was how Dogo Gide came to prominence, because he was the one who killed Buhari Ndaji. Buhari Ndaji was the bandit that you saw in that picture with the governor of Katsina State. Yeah. Dogo Gide killed him inside Dansadao Forest in Zamfara State because he accused him of stealing his in-laws' cattle, and he refused to return them. You know? So my own advice is for the armed forces to step up their campaign, because we are not seeing signs of an extensive or an elaborate military campaign against these people. I don't know when they want to start that, but we have to take on these guys, locate them where they are. That's an MI, you know. Locate them where they are. We have what you call the helicopter platforms that can take out these people. It's just the will has to be there that, look, we are going after this. You go to Dansabao Forest, you go to Orugu Forest, you go to Dumburam Forest, you will know this is where these guys are. Each leader, each bandit leader has his own area.
Territory, yeah.
You know, and no one must come close to that area unless it's ready to die.
To the extent of hoisting their flags.
Yes, so the thing is Boko Haram that is hoisting flag. So these ones are just, they don't care. Now, if we need to deal decisively with them, show them that no one can take up arms against the state and survive it. People have been telling me that, look, that they fear for the students of University of Abuja, because at the back of the university is an extensive forest. And they are saying, look, are we not going to take steps now before these bandits move towards the university and kidnap innocent students? We have to be proactive. We have to secure our schools. We have to kill these people, because they have shown that they do not, they too do not even value their lives. Look at this fellow. If Daudawa was a Muslim, because I doubt it. A lot of these guys are animists, you know, you can't even call them Christian or Muslim.
Muslim will not do anything like that this period. To return to fasting period.
That's the thing. Kache Katuba. Kache Katuba. You said you have repented. Shugabama Lameya Baka Quran currency. You swore to God with the Quran that the Malame gave you, and then you decided to come back to the same thing. So answer Musa Akakasheka Abanza. Look, you just gave yourself to them. If he had remained the repented bandit that he was, he would be alive today.
Would have been a government crusader. For
yes, but see that cheap money, that money, somebody paying 50 million and some, was what he was thinking about. Akakasheshi, Abanza. So,
yes,
it's a lesson. His met is Waterloo. Tomorrow now he can't constitute a threat to anybody. It's gone.
It's gone.
And to all of them who are still killing people, we are praying to God, and we know that God will answer us. One by one, they will get these bandit leaders, and they will be out of the system.
Now I know why that business is thriving. Yeah. Why the more you take out Boko Haram people, the more you kill them, the more you see people joining them. So because of poverty, our children are falling prey. 20,000 naira will really make the difference if Boko Haram can extend that kind of money in any village.
Don't forget that for a long time, about 5 years ago, they were even reputed to be giving soft loans.
Yes, that's a Madagal area of
so that means
Adama.
they understand the dynamics and the psychology of the area where they operate. And like you said earlier, once there's total absence of governance in any area, nature abhors a vacuum, and somebody always feel it. Right now, they are being filled by bandits and by Boko Haram. And we've said it on this program many times. And I thought that was the reason why they started this Northeast Development Commission. Though in the last 2 years, all I heard from them is 1 or 2 seminars that they held in Maiduguri. I thought that's why it was established, because it was identified that government no longer gets to those areas, that the bandits are filling those vacuums. And they set up a commission primarily to ensure that those areas are covered outside the state governments with amenities that will help, including roads, what they call the little roads, just a paving of the road in such a manner that can cut travel time by at least 70%. All this has not been done. It has become just another drain pipe.
They are just is a bit too early to say
it's been 2 years.
Drain pipe. The question is, they've not really been sufficiently equipped to get going. Sometimes you see money allocated to an agency or government, even 15% of what's appropriated may not be received in the during that budget cycle. So it's a big problem. I mean, when you put this in mind, and then the destruction that has taken place in the Northeast. You need decades upon decades upon decades before you can fully reconstruct that whole area. Because I went to government college, Buniyadi, where those boys were slaughtered. There was not a single building standing, and it's a federal government college. Not one building. Boko Haram had destroyed every building in that school. So, how do you know how much money it will cost to rebuild that school totally? So, even I believe that beyond the support from the UN needs to even support Nigeria, the rebuilding process in the Northeast. So that, and then when security improves, the people can get their lives back. A lot of these people really are just interested in going back even to their farms. They don't need handouts from government. But there are IDPs all over the place. They become like beggars because the alternative is to go to places where Boko Haram will kill them. And Boko Haram also knows that poverty is a big problem in that area and in some parts of Niger Republic. So they offer our people a little money, and those boys join them. I was reading a BBC story where they were saying that Boko Haram offers people just a few dollars in some Niger Republic communities bordering Nigeria, and those boys join Boko Haram just like that. So it's such a bad situation that we find ourselves, but the government must continue to work. What has happened in Gaydam is unfortunate, but I know that the people will return. Government has an obligation now to try to stabilize things in that in Gaydam, so that people will not feel the need to join Boko Haram. Let them realize that when they join Boko Haram, they can be killed the next day. You know.
To even reconstruct, you need peace and relative stability. Or else the moment you put up a structure, it can be burnt down.
Yes.
But the same Boko Haram, even if you spend billions on it. Just like what happened to Maiduguri with the territorial tension mast that was brought down twice in 90 days. They were in darkness for 90 days, it was repaired. They brought it down again.
It's easier to destroy that.
Destruction is always
they are not interested in destroying.
We have a long way to go. But like I said, if you have an intervention agency, they must start intervention at the level that Boko Haram is using. All these 20,000, you two must be in the play to solve those problems.
Soft loans.
Because if they are giving 10,000,
the Smedan kind of intervention loans and all that, of support for farmers.
The presence of government.
Because you have to counter them with something similar or better.
Just the insecurity itself will even make it difficult for government to fully be on ground.
Get involved.
Yes, because you have situations in which a whole local government, only one town is left.
And the emir is somewhere in Abuja.
Yes, most of the emirs are in Maiduguri.
I have Olawale from Ikorodu.
Yeah, good evening, Ayo.
Good evening, Wale.
Oh, my second.
I greet you, sir.
Good evening, I'm my brother. It is well with you. Yes, let's be sincere with ourselves concerning this fight against Boko Haram. Say, Gumi told us that government and the security agencies that they know the location of these people. If the government officials, as well as the military, they know the location of these Boko Haram, ISWAP, and all other brigands, why can't they go after them?
Oh.
Let them go after them and neutralize them. While you are waiting for the Tucano, you can see the Air Force camp, you can bomb Santisa Forest.
Hello, Wale. Yeah, I think what Wale was saying is that they've not really seen
by now they should have been decimated to such a level.
Because it's true that their camps are known. If a cleric can go and see them in their camps
regularly,
yes, that means that other people too know
have
their
access.
camps.
Yeah.
These guys grew up in villages, in towns. People know them, they know members of their families, you know. So it should not be a difficult thing to locate their camps and then take them out.
And we've been hearing about cutting off their supply for the last 5 years. Nothing has been achieved. Because that's also a primary fundamental point in curbing this thing. But they seem to, as you can see from the weapons, they are still getting the best of the best.
No, the border with Nigeria Republic, our border with Nigeria Republic is almost 1,000 kilometers.
It's beyond porous.
And it's porous. So the weapons will come in. Nobody is manning them. And in some cases too, for Boko Haram, somebody, when we were talking about the closure of the border, I said, one, Boko Haram does not use the conventional borders.
They come to the
parts. Even if they choose to use the borders, they are too strong for the what's it called?
Immigration.
The immigration or customs to stop them, because they are just going to kill them. In the Northwest, we've seen many cases when even these bandits kidnapped customs men.
At the border.
Even if you Google it, customs men kidnapped by bandits in Sokoto and other places. So what we just need to be much more serious in our military campaign against these people. Otherwise, they will continue to get stronger, and the time will come when we will almost have to give up.
Accept them as partners.
I have Dave from Mina.
Yes, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much. I want to really appreciate you people for this enlightening program.
Thank you, sir.
We are so happy for it.
Thanks.
You see, the people will continue to join this banditry because they have seen that the government are doing nothing about arresting these people. Most of the time when they were even being arrested, you discover that before you know, they will be released. So people see that nothing is being done. Government only come to the media and make noise, and nothing is being done. These people cannot go back to their farm. So they will join them. They are not joined because they want crime. But because they have seen that these guys, these banditry, they are making money,
Yes.
they are even boasting and say that there's nothing government can do about them. And truly, there's nothing government is doing about them. I live in Kaduna. When you get to Kaduna, you discover that only 2% of this kidnapping, killing, rape that have been reported in the media. Several cases, and we know many of them around us that are happening too. About 2 weeks ago, one of our neighbor, they killed his brother-in-law after collecting 6 million from his hand.
Can you imagine?
My landlady, this of his relative were killed. Those are cases that are not even nobody know, it's not even on social media or whatever. So the government are not serious about this thing, and people are aware that government are not serious. What I'm just praying for is that let it not get to a state that everybody will begin to carry arms.
Thank you. Thank you for your contribution.
You know, it was what he said reminds me of what a caller said last week. You know, that in Gwari it's difficult to find a family that has not been a victim of
not lost somebody.
Yes, either it's your wife that has been kidnapped or your brother. Yes. That is now almost accepted as a way of life. No protection for people, no protection at all. People pay ransom and life goes on. You just be praying that, look, it shouldn't be a victim next time. It's such a terrible situation. We are not protecting our people enough, and people are getting to accept banditry as a way of life. It's terrible. It has to stop. We need improvement in security across board.
All right. And finally, on today's show, today's episode of Journalist Hangout Weekend Special is on the now famous lady amputee water seller. The Lagos State government has handed over the lady, Mary Daniel, to her kinsmen from Kogi State over false claim and denied seizing the 25 million naira donated to her. TVC News' Abiola Sholanke, who has been following the story, tells us more.
Mary Daniels. First, the facts. It all started with this picture showing a lady amputee hawking water in the popular Oshodi area of Lagos. All of a sudden, the picture went viral, triggering a groundswell of public compassion, and in less than a day, Mary Daniels became the symbol of collective zeal of Nigerians to be their brother's keeper. The story that accompanied her photograph was that she lost both parents to an accident in which all passengers in the vehicle perished, that she was a single mother who relocated to Lagos to make ends meet by hawking water on the streets of Lagos, where survival is not guaranteed. The response to her story was such that Miss Daniels could only have imagined. The high and the mighty literally queued up to shower her money and affection. Her story underlined the growing power of the internet as the world got interested in a matter. By now, no less than 25 million naira had found its way into Mary's bank account, but the story that triggered the compassion that drove the donations was found to be largely untrue. Mary's kinsmen in Lagos even confirmed that her father is very much alive. After all, there was no accident in 2016. In fact, her appearance in Oshodi was thought to be part of a grand scheme to swindle the public.
I saw a picture of her. I was even shocked. I didn't even know when she was living outside to Lagos or anything. It's like, and I went to the parlor and looked at my this is Ojonugwa now. Because her name is Ojonugwa, not the Mary Daniel she's claiming. Her name is Ojonugwa Onu. Yeah, I think she added Onu in last week, her video now. The first week she was very Mary Daniel, but she now added, when I sent the picture, she's my friend on Facebook. She's very Mary Ojonugwa on Facebook. I snapped some of these pictures and sent to her. This is your story, this is your family, this is your mother, your auntie, your grandma. And so how come you are saying you don't have family, nobody cares for you? This is the true story behind. That was if you don't stop all these things and you don't have family, nobody cares for you, that when the accident happened, people who Samaritan were the one that took you to the hospital.
After these discoveries and to ensure Mary's fortune is well managed, the Lagos State Office of Civic Engagement handed her over to a non-governmental organization, Ministry of Justice, the police, and the leader of Kogi indigents in Lagos for proper handling.
Well, Lagos never handed her over to the police. What happened was that Lagos felt it was time for her to go and begin to live a new life that she had planned to live. She said she was going to set up a supermarket. She said she was going to try to help her family members. She said a lot of beautiful things.
The Office of Civic Engagement, working with Ministry of Youth and Social Services and working with Ministry of Justice, this is the plan now to hand Mary over to the Irede Foundation to help her with her affairs and manage her money and whatever it is that she wants to do with her money. Also, Youth and Social Services to give her a caseworker that will be helping her, manage her case and all that. And also, Ministry of Justice to continue to give legal advices, give her legal advice, as she continue her journey in life. But we also asked the Commissioner of Police to send their representative, because if we are talking about safety and security and the state is handing her over to people, we also want to make sure that the commissioner is involved.
Receiving Mary, Sani Ejime, who is the chairman of Kogi Indigents in Lagos, thanked the state government for its intervention.
I appreciate the Lagos State for the assistance they render to Mary, a lady who is homeless, who is handicapped, and they gave her everything she needed, trying to build a home for her. I mean, we will have to appreciate, because this Lagos State is not our home, but they decided to take her in like their own daughter. What's more to ask for?
This put pay to allegations that Lagos State government had plans to seize the money donated to Mary.
Lagos State government has not taken our money from her. The money is ours, and she got it from Nigerians. And Lagos State government, rather than take from her, we want to do everything to protect her. And this is what Lagos State government has done, to see that people don't take advantage of her.
Mary's story is an unusual one that reads like fiction. Yet, you bet it's not every day you find someone who could easily toss public emotion from one extreme to another. Abiola Sholanke, TVC News, Lagos.
Mary Daniel, and we saw that, and when our story came out to show you that Nigerians can be good people, everybody rallied around, and even from players from abroad, everybody started donating money, and the story has turned out this way. But the good side of it is that at least the money people have donated and everything should be able, to set her up and to make something out of her life, at least.
Yes. When you see that picture of Mary, or Ono, or whatever her name is, on the streets of Lagos, hawking water on one leg.
No matter how.
It's difficult to not have sympathy for her. It's difficult. Because we live in a world where even able-bodied men, people who can move around,
find it difficult.
Maybe someone just lost 2 fingers and he resorts to begging for money. And a woman who lost a limb felt that, look, she did not have to steal. She did not have to sell her body, or that she can make ends meet by selling water. Of course, what premium does she really get from selling water? So little. So little. And in the hot sun, you suffer and suffer. you know.
Run after buses with one leg.
I think her story really touched many Nigerians, and they felt, look, if there's anyone who needed help, it has to be this woman, because she had shown that, yes, if she had the opportunities that other people had, she would be just as industrious as anyone you can find. And then, of course, look at that T-shirt she was wearing. That white, that gray T-shirt.
No pain.
No pain, no gain was written on it. So that's like somebody putting herself through pain just to make ends meet, you know. So it's a very inspiring story, and I'm happy with the Lagos State government, Governor Sanwo-Olu. He always seems to step in when things like this happen, you know. He's someone who has an eye for what goes on social media, and where he needs to offer some assistance, he will gladly do that. I'm really happy that the governor and his team decided to step in. That the Lagos State government stepped in also helped in securing so much money for her, because other people now decided to get involved in trying to help her get out of her misery. And the state government also did a fantastic makeover for her birthday. You saw the birthday photo shoot. This is the stuff of how do I describe it? It's just like a movie.
A Cinderella story.
Like it's like you are watching a movie. If someone told her that she could, all of this could happen to her within so short a time, I'm sure she would have argued. Look at her dressed up, you know, and looking so beautiful. Every woman is beautiful after all. You know, it depends on
money.
How much access to money you have. So I believe that even some of the negative things that have happened, she will have learned from it. If your dad is still alive, there's no reason to claim that your dad is still alive. But the most important thing, she has only one leg.
Yeah.
You know, which was what drew the sympathy of people.
That's the parts we want to play up that. Okay, perhaps
whatever mistakes she had made by lying,
she became desperate, and she might have
decided so that
a
she
lot
would
of
get sympathy and
embellishment to that story.
Yes, but the fact remains that
her life can touch her life, and she's like this. GKB.
Well, like you said, the picture itself tells all the story. Any other embellishment is irrelevant.
Yes.
The major fact is that she's an amputee who is trying to making the best of her situation by selling.
Former Chief of Staff to Governor Rochas.
Yes, okay.
By selling water. So I think that's what is important right now. In these days of bad news all over, it's nice to see that the human part of us are still alive and kicking.
We are not entirely bad.
I know we have some very bad people among us. But majority of Nigerians are still very, 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 very humane when it comes to things of this nature. Because what we do is that put ourselves in that position, and then with shame, realize that some of us cannot go this far to sell water. Like they said, even one little finger, the man becomes a burden on everybody. Telling them that, can't you see I don't have a finger? Why are you going to help me? But the woman decided on her own, even with one leg, to go and sell water. The average income from water would probably be 1,000 naira. And that's stretching it.
No, you won't be able to that. Depends on how many units you sell in a day.
It's limited time.
This thing is 150, 120.
Maybe the gain is 10 naira per bottle.
That's water.
Okay.
So it's good to have good news coming out of Nigeria this time. Like I said, I commend the governor. He seems to have his pulse on things, knows exactly when to come in. And I'm sure Lagos State has just started. Kudos to...
We must be careful with that money now. There are people with a lot of relatives, a lot of people will now turn up, a lot of friends, a lot of suitors.
Old friends.
Everybody will turn up.
Somebody that went to primary school with.
Yes, I hope that now that she's been handed over to
monitors.
The leader of the Kogi community in Lagos. I hope she will also benefit from careful handling.
Because in no time, she can just...
And good counsel. Because the issue of investment, and taking investment decisions, you need the best counsel that you can get. You can think that, there's so much money, but if you make a wrong move, in no time you are broke again. And once you make a wrong move, you may never recover. So she has to calm down, and I hope that she will get the right advice on how to invest the money, so that many years down the line, when we see her, we will be able to say, oh, the Lagos state government played a big part in making this girl who she is today. What will pain most Nigerians is to read about her maybe in 5 years' time,
just like the
and hear that she's back to the streets, and hear that she's poor again. And it's a possibility if she does not take the right investment decision on the funds at her disposal.
And you should get an additional
I have Elvis calling us from London. Thank you for joining us.
Afternoon, Baba Jide, afternoon, Ayo, and your guests.
Thank you, Elvis.
First of all, Baba Jide and Ayo, I'm not very happy with the two of you because...
Hello, Elvis. I wonder what we've done.
I would have loved to hear.
Have you, Elvis?
Can you please call back?
Just call back.
So that I will know what I've done. Have you?
Oh, at least when you say Babajide and I'm curious.
What have we done?
Elvis from London. You can call back, or if you have, you can slide into our DM on Facebook. Slide into our DM. As Ayozubako on Facebook and Jide on Facebook.
We're active on social media.
We're active on social media. Just make your observation known so that at least,
if necessary, we'll make amends.
Yes, and if it's something we will come back to tell the world that this is what we've accused of, we'll read it out. You will know. Osere?
Yeah.
How was the birthday yesterday?
It was fantastic. The Are had a wonderful day. The Alafin was there in full force.
Are was 51. 51.
But you know that as the Are is older than all of us, technically.
But he came into the world to meet us. Meet some of us.
You think you're not keen to that part of the tradition?
Even a two-year-old Are is older than his grandfather. Not the person, the post.
Okay.
So I'm sure Ibale is aware of that. Happy birthday, Are.
Say happy birthday to Ariana Kakanfo of Yoruba Land, Iba Gani.
Adams.
You know how time flies. I remember my days as editor of PM News, how I used to chase him for stories at that time. And on a particular occasion, we wanted to interview Prophet TB Joshua.
Oh, I think that's from the same town.
In fact, he drove my reporters straight to the place to facilitate that interview.
What's this person?
That's the sort of person.
Arigidi.
That's the sort of person that he drove him. He was just willing to help. He drove the reporter straight to TB Joshua's place and said, "Look, you must do this interview." That was when Prophet TB Joshua and some pastors that including I think Oyara Kilome was on his side.
Okay.
But Chris Kuti and others were against him. Yes, and we were trying to see how many stories we can do out of the quarrel. So the area was really helpful, and it's always been. I wish him many more years in good health.
Also a big fan of journalist Hangouts.
And not forgetting the special advisor to the Lagos State Governor on environment, That's on drainage and water resources. That's Joe Igbokwe. Joe Igbokwe, the Agbalanze one of Inewi, was 65. Wishing you many happy returns. Even when the All Progressive Congress
nobody will know that he's 65 without.
No, I'm telling you,
many years of stubbornness and wahala.
Yes, now
makes him
younger by the day. You know? Not even knowing that from the side of the country he's from. When AD, APC, ACN was not popular, it was Joe that
carried it on his head.
He has been with the party, the longest serving publicity secretary.
Nobody has written more letters to the editor than him.
Always, every day.
Really?
Yes, that was where he made his name. Writing letters to the editor, in the 90s.
Happy birthday, Mojo.
Agbalanze one of Inewi. Happy birthday.
Happy 65th birthday. Guy.
Wishing you many more.
You
don't become an ancestor now.
Well, you don't look it. If we are walking on the street,
65.
You even look 65. Younger than me.
65 like that. The new woman. Okay. Osiare, thank you.
Always a pleasure.
For your contribution the last almost 220 minutes now. Thank you. And BKO. It's always very hectic producing this Sunday edition of Journalist Hangout.
It is fun. It's what we enjoy doing.
We start on like Thursday and we make our changes over and over again till last minute of production, just to give our viewers very, very wonderful time in the last 2 hours.
Yeah, the viewer deserves the best, and I know that a lot of our people still don't know that we do this program.
Yes, that's why we take time, we talk about it from Monday to Friday's edition.
We need to get the word out there that there's a special edition of journalism every week.
Maybe there should be a promo
on Sunday. Yes,
we'll do our best to do a promo, and then let our fans also tell their friends that look, there's a program that they must not miss.
Okay. And that's all on Journalist Hangout on Sunday. Join us tomorrow for the regular episode of the program at 5 p.m. We're on YouTube, youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I'm Ayodele Uzubakun. God bless Nigeria.